Okay, it's 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in the morning. Wanted to wait a little bit so that way the sun wasn't hitting too hard. I've been up pretty much since, I actually slept in a little bit. I've been up since about 5:30. Normally I'm up a little earlier than that. I sleep some very odd hours. And a lot of it is because there's a lot of things and thinking that I can do during the night that I can't quite get done during the day. And in thinking about trying to do this video is for the S&B Influencers Award. This is the second annual going on this year. I wanted to take a moment to think and then talk about what makes an influencer. And I think an influencer is somebody who's willing to isolate themselves for the good of the world. Now you may be thinking, well, wait a minute, what do you mean by isolating yourselves for the good of the world? Well, what I mean by that is that it's somebody that when they really go through and kind of have those moments, whether it's at the beginning of the day or something during the middle of the day where they shut themselves off for a moment, take a deep breath, and then start going through their list of things that seems enormous. They start thinking about their strategy, and they think about how to execute. And they think about it in terms of what is the gift of their business and how can that gift enhance the world. How does that gift, how to position that gift so that way it does enhance the world. I think when you're willing to do that, I think that's when you are an influencer. Because by doing that, you actually start really thinking about what is a true answer. You're not trying to sell something to somebody just because you have it. That was never good to begin with. And I think thanks to some of the things that have gone on online in terms of social media, I think that's even less of an answer now. And I think the ones that the businesses are standing out are the ones that have learned that not to push so hard and learning how to really be a steward of what they provide. It's not always perfect. There's still, and not everybody always gets that message, but it's a big part of it. But I think when you're a small business, I think you have to sit down and think about what your gift is to the world and how do you influence and how do you, how that gift is going to be positioned. So that way, when you do provide that service, when you do provide that product, it's a gift. And in the process, you develop influence because there's some action or some advocacy that goes on, basically, because people really believe in what you're trying to do. When you have that, I think that's what influence is about. But to get to that point, to get to that advocacy, to earn that advocacy from not just customers but from partners and from people alike, you have to get to a point where you are sitting down and going through the motions of trying to figure out how to position your gift. Let me show you something real quick. This is something I did when I was a boy, and the reason why I bring this up is that when I was a boy, when I used to make model cars out of cardboard, much like this one. This is, by the way, for those of you who are not automotively not interested in automobiles, this is a 1983 Porsche 928F. I built this back in 1983, so this is a 29-year-old cardboard car. This is one of a lot of cardboard cars I made, and I made these in my basement. And the first cardboard car did not quite look like this. It had like a front and a rear. Probably a couple of years into it was when my dad actually sat down and we actually worked out what we call the middle, and that's this section right here you see. But over time I learned how to add other features into it. If I'll hold it this way, if you notice the car's kind of tapered a little bit at the top and at the bottom, and that was to emulate the shape of the 928, where most of my cars were straight. Figured out how to do a hood, figured out how to do an engine, figured out how to make the doors open. The point of all this is that most of this was done in a basement, in a corner, working at a draftsman's table. Every business owner needs to have that corner. Every business owner needs to have that draftsman's table. And in doing so, that you have a corner or a place where you can go. Think about what your gift is, and eventually, when people see, will people see in how you provide your service and product, how that gift is being offered. That's when you become an influencer. That's when people really understand it and will get behind you, when you're really true to the game. Thanks for listening to me, and in fact, I want you to do more than listen to me. Go to small business influencers, nominate someone you know. If you know somebody that you can physically imagine being in that corner, go nominate them today. It's a great program, and I think what you find is that there's a lot of great people out there as well who are looking to try to be, not just be an influencer, but to make a difference. Nominate someone today.